Hey, how's it going? It's Rocky. Welcome to the daily diaries of the average futures trader. This is where it's my journal, just going through how my trades went, my thoughts on the market, essentially trading the futures, specifically the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And today was quite a monster day. It's pretty good for the index, really. Like the tech has been doing quite well with Microsoft, Google, and then Meta beating expectations. And even though that occurred the past couple of days, the last 2 days it was pretty bad. So it was a bit of a surprise today when, you can see Dow Jones Industrial Average up 1.57%, S&P 500 1.96%, NASDAQ up 2.43%. And it's really one of the better days that the indexes has had since January, and a lot of that had something to do with how the reports that came in from from let me see if I can find this articles here. Essentially, the jobs report, a bit of contraction on the economy, on the GDP. It went up 1.1%. It was expected was 2%. So in the morning, it was actually quite confusing on which direction the market was going to go to. So it was quite surprising that it ended up the way that it did. And because of that, that's one of the reasons that I ended up closing my swing account, which is usually I hold for multiple weeks until the contract expires, which in this case it was the June contract. But anyway, let me just go through how my day went for today. So what I'm just showing here is the YM, which is what I try to use as a hedge, and I try to do this intraday. And as you can see, lots of trading that occurred here. If I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this one, my very first trade that actually occurred here was, can't quite see it there, oh my bad. So as you can see here, this very first trade that I have actually occurred at 5:25 in the morning. So I'm in the Pacific Coast. Market opens at 6:30 in the morning. I made a mistake the past couple of days, really the past couple of weeks. I lost basically I've had a lot of things to do, being out of town and whatnot, and that ruined the groove a little bit. And due to that, I was not respecting the market. And what I mean by that is I would just wake up at any time I wanted and trade whenever I wanted. But this time I made sure I woke up early, prepared right before the market opened, took my first trade there, and it did quite well. Actually gonna go through some of my trades. I'm gonna bring up the tick-based chart here. And something I want to point out is I actually lost money on a lot of these trades, and the tough part about it was I lost $1,595 on the hedge that I was working on. The tough part about this one is that prior to this, I was actually up $3,300 on the hedge, and a lot of that was really due to really good tradings that I did here. So my first 4 trades of the day, as you can see here, they were executed quite well on those shorts. However, I made a bit of a mistake here, and I denote this by this oval shade here. I do this so I can go back and analyze my mistake. And the bad part about this one trade I did was I did it by pretty much breaking my rules. It's easier said than done, but for some odd reason, on my indicators here, it had a crossover that occurred up, which means it's bullish. It's overbought, which is normally when I like to go long, but somehow I went short. And because of that short, it was quite a painful short to tell you, because this right here pretty much gave up almost $3,000 of my profit for the day, and that ended up, gave up the 3,300 and then lost another 1.5, and that gave us a negative $1,595. However, don't worry, everything is, I guess you could say, according to plan-ish, because what I'm happy about for the day, and I post this, on YouTube community, on the community tab on YouTube, I post it on my Instagram. I tried to start a Reddit as well. I have a Facebook group as well. So I'm doing all of this because I want to grow my channel, just to reach out to like-minded folks, to learn from them, and maybe be an inspiration of what to do or probably what not to do. But happy to say that for the day, we were able to gain $6,197.43. If I did not lose what I did lose on, I was telling you earlier, the YM, right? The YM, I ended up at negative 1,595, but if I had left that alone, that would have been at least 3,500 or so. And I would have hit a 10K day, and I've only really done that once in the past. And I think it was that greed of hoping to be able to say I had a 10K day was my downfall. But anyway, I'm quite happy to be able to recover, $6,197.43. I'm still red for the week because if you look, yesterday lost 3,300, previous day before that 5,500, and for the week we're still tracking red, but we got one more day. I just want to point out here, I no longer have any PL open on both my swing, which I normally hold for a few days in a week, and my YM, right? Like that one I always close intraday, and it's a very humbling day or humbling week for me. And I'm still hoping that when I release my content tomorrow, which is when I go through, the transparency of how my week went, I'm hoping that I'll be able to say, hey, look, we're break even or made a little bit of profit. But either way, for being down by so much the past 2 days, I'm happy with the recovery that we had today. Anyway, hope you had a strong trading day as well. Please be careful tomorrow, because with the way the market has reacted the past 3 days, that worries me a little bit. And I'm not saying one way or another. I'm just saying just be careful. All right, y'all have a good one. I'll see you in the next one, and thank you for always supporting my content.